welcome to how to set up Google Analytics for your magazine. We're going to be doing more than just Google Analytics. We're also going to be doing Google Tag Manager, but we'll get to cross that bridge when we get to it. Next one, Peter. Okay, so let's dream a little. Wouldn't it be so cool if your magazine generates you subscribers even while you're sleeping? Okay. And you knew exactly what content to create to build a loyal following and readership. And of course, you had a plan for how to start ranking your magazine on Google. Next slide. So what's it going to take to actually have these types of outcomes while you're building your magazine? The secret is data, and like lots and lots of data, and not the kind of data that's going to overwhelm you, but the kind of data that you actually know how to interpret. You know how to go to it, you know how to read it, you know what it means for you. This is how we want you to be able to use Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, because there's a lot of really great stuff in there that can inform all of the decisions you make with your organization. Maybe not all, but quite a few. Even for me, when we're doing copywriting or we're designing a website or we're creating social media content, we refer back to Google Analytics to see what are the demographics that are showing up on our site. What are the keywords that are being searched for? What pages do they land on the most? What pages do they stay the longest on? These are all the different kinds of things that Google Analytics can tell you. It can really inform how you want to move forward with your organization, and also how you start putting together a marketing plan to increase that readership, to increase that loyalty. Next slide. So, and it's actually not that bad, data. Because the data that you're going to be able to get from Google Tag Manager, we're going to call it GTM because it's a mouthful, and Google Analytics, we'll call it GA. The kind of information you get from it can really inform your knowledge of who your audience actually is. We all go into business thinking that, okay, I'm going to target this type of client. So are those people actually picking up what you're putting down, right? Are you actually attracting these types of people? So while we're going through this, keep in the back of your mind that you're going to be able to figure out who your people are and where they're actually coming from, which is a huge piece of knowledge that not a lot of organizations take advantage of. You're going to be able to find out their behavior. So when they land on your site, when they land on your subscribe page and they don't do anything, that's pretty annoying, right? But do you know how many people actually land on that page? Do you know how many people see, let's say, your pop-up, right, to subscribe? And how many people just click the little X to ignore? So these are the types of things that you'll also be able to discover with Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. And something that's really important to me is the user experience. So when people actually land on your magazine, they land on your website, like where do they go? Like where else do they click to? What content do they love the most, right? Because oftentimes the way that our audience performs isn't necessarily the way that you envision them performing on your site. So rather than using a gut feeling, get the data for you, right? Get the data to inform your actual decisions and to tell you, this is how people are actually performing on my website. Is that what I want, or isn't it? Are they showing you opportunities to create additional content that you never thought were possible that could really benefit you? I don't know, maybe, right? But these are the types of things that you don't have to rely on gut feelings anymore. The data will actually tell you. So next slide. So after this workshop, what I would like this workshop is a very hands-on workshop. Okay, Peter and I will be taking you through a screen share of how to sign up for Google Analytics, how to grab those tags and those codes, where are they going to go into your website. So I hope that you all have your website, your magazine open, you're logged in, you've got Google Analytics open as a tab. You don't have to sign up for anything yet. We're going to walk you all through it. And you've got Google Tag Manager opened up as a tab in your browser right now. Again, you don't have to do anything with them, just as long as you have them there. It'll speed up the process so much more. So we're going to install Google Analytics 4 and then set up the basics of GTM. So point of this is to gain deeper insights into how your visitors actually behave and interact with your website, which is gold. This is the kind of information that is free for you. And so many people aren't taking advantage of it. We'll also show you how to read and build a basic report to see who your audience is, what country, what city, what device they use, their age, what landing pages they frequent the most. You'll be able to know all this type of information. And then the one event tracking event that you can set up on Google Tag Manager so you can see how many people are subscribing on your pop-up window or your page and how many people are not bothering to sign up. So we chose one event to create, set up, and track that we think would be the most valuable to you during this time that we have together. Next slide. So the basics. So follow along on your own computer. Right now, we're going to learn how to sign up for Google Analytics, set up GA4, and then install the tracking code on your website. So buckle up. Okay, Peter, on to you.
So first thing that we're going to do is just create that initial Google Analytics account. So I just have an example one up here, but we'll go right from the start. But I just wanted to show what we're going to end up with. So this is just an example account where we will be able to view how many people have visited each month, even how much revenue gets pulled in. We'll be going through all the acquisitions, meaning where are people coming from, how they're engaging with the site, and how well the monetization is working within your site. And as Emily said, the demographics. But the first thing that we want to do is, if you are not there already, I'm just going to analytics.google.com. Now, since I already have many accounts, they just pop up right away. But for you, you might see a screen that will be asking you to create that fresh new account. So as long as we've gone to analytics.google.com, if you already have a property, where I'm going to be going to is just the admin area in the bottom left. If you see the screen that just shows you create your new property, we'll be following along with that. So I'm just going to admin so I can create a new account.
Oh, Pete.
And this is should be where others see the same thing. Emily?
So when a person is using their Google email, so that should also be you should be logged into your Google email right now. Is this the first page that they see when they sign up?
This here, this account details, should be similar to that.
Okay.
You just go back to analytics.google.com. And I just want to be on the screen where I am creating a new account is the key. So that's where everyone, if you're starting fresh, following the wizard, it'll ask you to set up a new account, and it should be a similar screen as this.
And you should be using your business email, which we're under the assumption that you already have you're using Google Mail or the Google Marketing Suite as the email that you're using for your business, but you can just use your personal one. Am I right, Peter?
As long as it is a Google account, you can sign up for Google Analytics with it.
Fantastic. So everybody, if your email is on Outlook and it's not on Google Mail, that's okay. Maybe you can just create like a Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account, you'll be able to create all of this.
So for this new account that I'm setting up, I just created a very quick website just for this testing. Let's see, there's nothing on here, literally just set it up, a gold gilding website. So I'll be creating an account for this, and then that's where I'm going to test this out. So if you already have your magazine website, you can enter that in. The first one is the account name. So this one, I would make it the actual company name. Okay. And what if we have Google Analytics but not Google for? Are we still do we still set up, or will this actually happen automatically? So the question is, very good question that we'll be getting into is if you already have an analytics account and it has the classic Google Analytics 3, we can use that account and we'll be able to create an Analytics 4. I'll actually show that to you in just a bit, and that was from Laura. But gold gilding. So the account name should be just your full company name, for example. If you are running multiple sites under the same company, you can put as many sites as you want in this same account. So for example, if this was for my agency and I have dozens of websites under my agency, I'm only going to make one account and we'll be able to put all the websites in that same account. But for this one, I'll just do the gold. Oh, whoops. Let's type that out again. Gold Gilding is the account. This doesn't really matter. It's literally just sharing data with Google. But I'm just going to hit next. Also note that if you are a big agency, your maximum for accounts is 100. I don't think we'll hit that, although I have only 5 more to go, so I have to be careful here. So the next step is the actual property. Now, a property is the website. So the account just can house as many websites as you want. The property is the website itself. So for naming here, this is where I put in pretty much the website URL as it is. So mine is goldgilding.tempurl.host, although this may be goldgilding.ca. This is just a nice naming convention so you can tell which is the website. But you can also name it anything you want as well. For the reporting, you'll want to make sure that this is in your time zone. Otherwise, your data may seem very off when you're looking at it in real time. And then the currency, this is if your website does have e-commerce and you want to track the actual purchases, you want to make sure that this is in your correct dollar amounts. So this will create the Google Analytics 4 property. So we must note that we are in a transition period for Google's analytics, where they are about to decommission what was referred to as Universal Analytics, or the UA or GA3, sorry. That's being decommissioned in June, or end of June, I believe. So Google Analytics 4 is the only one that we will be covering. Just note that there is a show advanced options where you can get it to create the older version of Universal Analytics, but right here, note that July 1st, it will be completely useless anyway. For anyone that already has a Universal Analytics property, that's where I'll show how to now connect or create the new GA4 property so you're all ready for that data. So I'll just hit next there. The next settings are completely arbitrary. They are just survey kind of stuff for Google. So I can say for this company, it's small. The industry for this one is arts. And I want to organize, increase my conversions. Sure. Again, just survey. And I'll hit create. Yes, I accept. I agree. Everyone read all of that, I hope. And there we go. We are in the property now. So before I go into any of this, if you already had that Universal Analytics property, right here under properties, I would see it. And what I can do is I can click create property to create a new GA4 property. So again, if I just click this arrow, I have my Gold Gildings account, and within the account are my properties. If you already have the Universal Analytics one, but not the GA4, you can just click create property and then create your Google Analytics 4 property. So that was for Laura there. We can now start the setup for that. All right. Now back to where I was. So within the property, we're just going to go through a couple of the settings here. So you should all see this panel on the left. And the property settings where I had my time zone settings and such. If you didn't set it correctly, you can change it there. Property access management is where you can invite new users. So if you have other people on your team or you're doing this for a client or anyone else, you can add them to the actual property so that they can manage it as well. And yeah, for Aaron there, if you had, again, if you have the existing Universal Analytics property, let's see, I'll just go to one that has that. You might see these little pop-ups here. Let me just skip that. But what you would see is you would already see a property with a UA, so Universal Analytics, But if you don't see one that's purely just numbers without the UA in front, that means you don't have an analytics for property. And that's where you just create a new Google Analytics for property. So if that answers the question, Aaron, well, just let me know in there. And let me just go back to my gold gilded. Perfect. So from there, that was the property. But now the important areas is this data stream. So this is where we were just taking to at first. So we're going to complete the steps here. So if everyone's with me on the data streams, our property settings, do we push move property? If it gave you the option, so for Laura, if it gave you the option to move property, yes, select the new Google Analytics for property and hit move. So that was just Laura's question there. Okay. Well, within the data streams, when I have these options here, is this collecting for iOS, Android, or web? I assume for everyone, this is all web. Moving forward, you repeat the moving forward to the GA4 instructions. So sorry for the other Peter there. Is that the instructions for if we're in the GA4 property, are we just clicking, we're at the part where we're clicking web?
No, I think he wants to know if he has a GA property and wants to, a UA property and wants to move it to a GA4. So everyone who has the same question, we'll do this one more time.
Let me see if I can get it to pop up once, because I think everyone's seeing that pop up. Let me just see if I can get it to trigger. Let me just try. Does this one have it? No, none of these are triggering. Isn't they've all been mine?
Maybe mine will work.
And no, yours has already been migrated over. Yeah. No, but either way, if you see that pop-up window, it's just a drop-down where you can select your property and hit continue.
So for Laura, hers is telling her the property is part of a link between the UA and the GA4 and can't be moved.
Okay, then just click skip it for now.
Because that tells me that it's already linked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. All right, perfect. So I'm just back at the data streams from when I first set up the account. And I'm going to choose the platform of web. So I'll go web. So now I have to put in the actual correct website details. So the other stuff that we put in is just naming convention. But here I have to paste in the actual website that I will be tracking. So I'll just put in the website that I have for that gold gilding site right now, removing any slashes and such, and making sure that it's HTTPS. And all sites should be HTTPS. If your site is still HTTP, you definitely need to get that secured. But that's a different thing. Oh, yeah. Then my stream name. Yeah, the stream name, same thing. That can be completely up to you what you name this. I like to just put in exactly what the domain name is without the HTTPS. It's just easier for me to sift through and find the website address that I want to track. Then right below, it has all of what it's going to be measuring. So you can pretty much leave these as is, but I'll just explain what each one is. So I'll just click on that for more. So it will be measuring all the page views on the website. Every time someone clicks on any page, it'll track where they are when they scroll the website. This will be able to track their engagement. Anytime they click on a link that takes them out of the website, so any outbound links, if you have a search bar on your website, it'll track the searches and what they actually typed in to search. If you have embedded videos, such as YouTube or Vimeo videos, it'll be able to track whether or not they are playing video, how long they're playing the video, etc. If you have any download links on your site, such as a link to a PDF, it'll track those. And form interactions. So clicking submit on a form. If you click the little cogwheel, it'll allow you to turn these on and off, but at this time, there's no real reason to turn them off, only when you're in more advanced companies where they want to very specifically track data in a certain way, they may ask you to turn those off. But for any other site, all of them stay on. Good. So I'm just going to click Create Stream. Okay, give it a second, and now the stream loads up. And then I end up with this screen here.
So Pete, I just responded back to Miguel, who said, can't you create new GA4 with UA still around? Yes.
Yes.
And in fact, you would want that because UA is going to be sunsetting in July, but you want to set up your GA4 now so that you're starting to collect data. It's going to take time for your website to gather all the data. If you were to set it up right now and go and you expect a year's worth of data, that's not going to happen because it hasn't been on your site for a year, right? It's only been added however many seconds ago, right? So you want to give it as much time as possible to populate information.
Absolutely. So yeah,
learning both at the same time.
Get those created, get them installed right away.
Yeah. Okay.
And just for Laura, yes, we're clicking the web option. And then from web option, just hit create. All right. So once we hit create, we'll end up at the web stream details, and it may have popped up this how to install your tag option. So there's many options for existing website builders. So if you have a Wix, Squarespace, WordPress site, there's all kinds of options. But we'll assume that all we have is for instance, a random website, or it's completely custom. You just have the ability to add in a code snippet. This is where we would install the tag manually. So in the little tab for install manually, this is the code that we need to install on our website wherever we can. So this might be a question more for Sylvia or the tech managers. What is the platform for the websites that everyone is creating where we're installing this?
So I guess the most popular platform used, is it WordPress or something else? Or do we even know that information?
Perfect. If we're all WordPress, awesome. That's what the site that I'm testing is on. Cool. So you can still install it manually, and I'll show a few ways and plugins that we can install to get that connected, including the ones that they recommend here. So I've copied the code here, and now I'm just going to go over to my WordPress site. So I have my WordPress site. I'm already logged into the back end of it here. So let me just start fresh and go to the dashboard. So if you're already on your WordPress website, you're just logged into the back end into its dashboard through the WP-admin. I don't think do we have to walk anyone through just getting into our WordPress sites. We're all good. Oh, someone used Kentico.
Go.
But either way, with any platform you just want to find, and I'll just do the general, no specific plugins, you just want to find where you can enter in your code manually. Oh, and for Terry, where we're getting the code, back in analytics, if you didn't see the install instructions here to install manually, I'm just going to close out these right here. And actually, let me just confirm that it's there. Yes. Where you see data streams, you should now see your data stream if you've already hit create. And if not, then you would just select web and click create. Then I would click back on the stream here, and this little arrow takes me back to this screen. And you should see a view tag instructions button, which will pop out that window again. From there, there's a tab to install manually, and that's where I've copied the code. I just click this little icon to copy to my clipboard. Perfect. All right, and then back to my tab here. So for my WordPress website, I know where I can install my code. There's plugins for installing code. If you're on a different platform, you would just want to go through the settings and try and find where can I insert my own code into the website. So for mine, I just have a theme options here. And then I have a spot where I can insert my custom code. What I'm looking for is a place where I can insert custom code into the head of the website. So it'll usually look like this, where it's a bracket / head and then bracket. So anything like that, I would paste my code in there in order to get the tracking to work, and then save. For other options on our WordPress site, if we don't have anywhere where we know that we can insert the code or that we can see for inserting the code, there are plugins available for connecting your site with Google Analytics. In fact, one that's made by Google themselves. So I'll just show how that is installed. If you're in your WordPress site and you have control, you would go to your plugins, and then I can go add new plugin. And then here I can search for the plugin. So the plugin that Google recommends is just called Site Kit. It's two-word. Site Kit, and it should pop up here. There we go. Site Kit, and it's by Google. So you're mainly looking for the by Google one. So I'm going to also install it. So I'm going to activate Google Site Kit. Once it's activated, I can start the setup. Again, if you were able to manually put in your code, you don't have to follow along with this. But I'll just go start setup. There we go. And then it gives me all of my little options here. So what I need to do is I need to click sign in with Google. So I'll go sign in with Google. It's just asking me to connect to my account. When you go sign in with Google and you put in your account credentials, it'll ask you for the data that you want to share with WordPress when it connects to the site. Just make sure that all of these are checked on, just so you can select from all your accounts and be able to connect them. So the last two here, make sure that they are checked on as well. With those, I'm going to hit continue. Okay. So this next bit is to verify our connection for our website. So I'm just going to click verify right here. And it will take me through the steps to just make sure that it can verify the site for me. Perfect. So it was able to verify for me. And now it's going to, this one doesn't really matter. It's just going to show me my Google Analytics right in WordPress if you have a WordPress site. So I'll just hit allow on that. And this is actually very nice of it. It's setting up a completely different thing that I didn't think we'd get to set up today, which is Google Search Console.
Oh, oh, goody.
I'm just gonna see if it just does it on its own.
Yeah.
Perfect. In theory, it just did it on its own. Don't worry about that. Just click the setup. That'll be something that we can get to later.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So I'll just go, exactly. Go to my dashboard. And there we go. I should see the connection. And then I'm just going to confirm, because it's still loading in stuff. So I'm still waiting for it to gather data. But I'm just going to confirm by clicking this go to settings, because I want to see what it shows as the connection. So I'll go to settings. And I can see nothing's actually connected yet. So I'm just going to click on connect more services, or where it's already there. Okay, so Terry, wherever we are on our screen, if we're just clicking the next, like we're just following the wizard that was on screen. And either way, if once we've made it through the wizard, I'm just in Site Kit and settings here. But then from the Site Kit settings, under the connect more services, I'm going to click Setup Analytics. And then it's just asking me to do the confirmation again, connect to my account. And then I'm just hitting continue. I know this one's far more complex than just pasting the code in. And yes, I have to give it a bit. It has to download all the properties from Google. And there we go. Now it actually pulled up my Gold Gildings account. And if not, you have a drop down to select the correct account if it chose the wrong account, and then the property from that account. So it found my gold gilding property within the account. Perfect. So very important, I need to turn on place Google Analytics for code. If I don't check this on, it will not actually put the code in to track. It'll just pull in the data to show you the data, but it won't be tracking the data. So I need to make sure I turn that on, and then I can click Configure Analytics. One thing it's also telling me is that it will also create a universal analytics property for me. Completely unnecessary, but very nice of it.
Good. If you can, do it, because Universal Analytics shows you a lot more than GA4. I know.
It's going to be gone in a couple months.
As you would assume, but UA is fantastic.
Yeah. For this, it's asked me for more permissions. I'm actually not going to go forward with that. I'm just want to focus on the Analytics 4 property. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel that. Oh, I didn't that. Let me just see if that did it or not. So I'm just refreshing to see if hitting cancel actually cancels it. Yeah, so I may have to still configure it. So I'm just proceed, just following the on-screen wizard, connecting the account again. I know it asks you a couple times, hitting continue. Okay, there we go. The Google plugin should now be tracking on your website. Okay. All right, so I know that was a lot for going through the WordPress site. It's mainly follow that wizard, and then going to SiteKit and settings. So wherever we got lost, as long as you have SiteKit installed, you can just click SiteKit and settings, and you'll see where you can connect analytics and just follow the wizard. Alrighty. So to confirm if your site is tracking, we're going to be able to jump back into Google Analytics, and we're just going to check the real-time data. So I have it still open in this tab here. I'm just going to close out of those. So I'm still within the property settings here. On the left, as you hover over, this little menu will fly out, and you'll see your home, reports, explore, and advertising. So then from there, I'm going to actually click on reports. And this will load up the report view where I should see zeros and everything. But in the top left here, there's a new menu, and you should see a real-time option. So I'm going to click on real-time. So as long as I'm in real-time, I don't see anyone on my site right now, but I'm going to go to my site, actually go to the home page, and start navigating around. So let me go to the website where I installed the code. I'm just going to refresh. So I refreshed. I can go to a page or two. And then hopefully, if everything installed right, actually, let me just put this in there. Neat. I should be seeing a user here soon. Building under. Okay, so let's see. Not popping up yet. Oh, there we go. I just refreshed and now it works. So if you don't see yourself right away, just refresh. And then in real time, there I am. And here is where I live. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. So it got, I am the only one on my website, and I am right there in Kelowna. And it shows me all the data. So just going through the data. And again, if you're still installing, keep going through that. I'll just explain some of the data here. So I am just part of my all users audience. So it shows you how many people are on your site right now. I am right now on the coming soon page, and I've already viewed it 3 times. And then here are all those events that we saw earlier in the stream. So I have a page view. I've also scrolled through my page, so it tells me that the scroll was triggered. I've done some kind of engagement on the page, so that means that I clicked or did something on the website. So that means I engaged with something, and that was when I clicked on my Hello World, or even if I click on articles, as I start going around, each of those is an engagement, for example. And then it tells me this was my first visit, so that was also a trigger, and just simple events like I started a session on the website. Later, when I start adding conversions on a site, such as submitting a form or anything, that data will show down here. And if I start tracking user properties, I can also show that here. User properties being literally their first name, last name, email addresses, if you're tracking any of that kind of data. Perfect. So any questions on that was the connection process and just verifying your connection through the real time. If you don't see it right away, also open a what's called private browser window or incognito window and go to your site, just because sometimes SiteKit or others won't track the admin of the site. So if you're logged into your site, it'll say you probably don't want to track yourself and you won't always see your data. But if you open a new window where you're not logged in, visit your site, you should see the data being tracked. All right, all good there. So that was the basics of connecting our analytics. So right now, Google Analytics is the basic for just tracking page views, everything. That's all you need. When it gets to the more complex stuff, and this is stuff that you may need to send to your developer, but either way, it's good to have this Google Tag Manager account created and connected, and then you can send it to another developer to add in any more complex tags. But what we're going to go to is tagmanager.google.com. And then just make sure you're logged in. If this is your first time here, it may ask you to create a fresh new account, which I will also be going through that right now. So from tagmanager.google.com, I see the option to create account, or if it's your first time, it may already pop that up for you. And then I see a window like so. Just like my Google Analytics, I would set up an account name. Now, this can be a company-wide name that can house dozens of websites within it. Before I create that, just to show you what I mean by that, is you can see how I have an account and then there's a website property, or in this case, there's the account and 100 website properties within it. So you can have as many websites within one account. So I'm just going back to create account. So this one is still just going to be for my gold gilding business. Okay. It is in Canada. And I don't really care to share data with Google. And then the container, again, can be whatever the website title is. I usually like to put in the actual website URL, just without all the fancy slashes and so on, just the website. And for everyone, the target platform is still web. So there we go. I have my account name and creating my first container, which is the website itself. And an account can have as many containers as you want. I think it maxes out at about 250. I have to agree to the terms of service, so I'll just go, I accept. And yes in the top. Why do they put them in 2 different spots? Okay, so there we go. I have my tag manager created, but now I just need to actually connect this tag manager into my website. So this is another case where it gives me manual code. So ideally, I usually prefer to put in the manual code. As you saw, the plugins can usually take even more steps and just far more confusing. But you can see here, it tells you to put in this code in the head and this code in the body. So if you did have access to the code area of your website or a plugin that allows you to insert code, you can copy these and paste them into their respective areas. So for mine, I'm just copying this and I'll just show the manual example and then I'll go into the plugin example. So back in my website backend, I'm just going to where I had, oops, there we go, where I can put in my custom code. And you can see here, I still have my GA4 one. I'm also going to insert in my Google Tag Manager one for the one that needs to be in the head. Then the one that needed to be in the body, I copy that. And then right here, code before the closing body. And then I just put that in there and save. So that is putting it in manually. Now for SiteKit, actually, let me just confirm before anything. Yes. So in SiteKit, same thing that we did before, where under SiteKit settings and connect more services, it has a specific one for Tag Manager. So then I'm just going to click on the Setup Tag Manager, and then it's going to take me through the wizard steps. Sign into my account again, hit continue, verify that I'm allowed to. And then it's going to ask me which account and container. With the SiteKit plugin, this is for Laura. The purpose of these plugins is they do put it on every single page automatically. It goes into the header of every page, the footer of every page. This plugin does that. And same with that coded area where I just was, even for my manual code, that puts it in the head of every page on my website. Because yes, most of our websites also have literally thousands of pages. Our latest one has over 10,000 pages on it. So that one plugin puts it just on all of them. Cool. So for here, I just need to get my gold gilding account and my gold gilding container. And I'll let SiteKit place the code on my site. It allows you to do this if you've already placed it in manually and you're just using this plugin for viewing the results directly in WordPress. But I'm going to have it put it in, assuming that we are all doing the same and haven't put the code in already manually. Yep. So I'll confirm and continue. And there we go. That one goes much faster. So my tag manager is now connected. Perfect. All right. All good with Tag Manager. So with that done in Tag Manager and Tag Manager connected, I actually need to just set up a couple of very basic tags. And we're just adding in the basic tags, not going to get into too many of the other complex ones at this time. But within Google Tag Manager, on the left here, I'm going to click on Tags. Within Google Tag Manager and under Tags, I'm going to click New for a new tag. So what Google Tag Manager allows me to do is to literally add any extra bits of code to my website, but through the Tag Manager. This way I don't have to go in, find other plugins, even like a Facebook pixel. I add it through Google Tag Manager. If I want to track TikTok views, I can add my TikTok code through Google Tag Manager. I don't have to keep adding different plugins or doing any manual code. It does it all. This first tag that we're going to create, where it says tag configuration, we just need to connect it to our analytics property to tell it that these two are the same and they need to talk to each other. So I'll click tag configuration here, just anywhere within it. And then I get this choose tag type, and you can see all the different tag types that are pre-built into here. So ones for other types of platforms, Pinterest, Mouseflow, LinkedIn tags, even classic Google tags no longer used, analytics if you're starting to advertise, all kinds of stuff. And even custom ones for just pasting in completely custom code on your site. You can just throw in a custom HTML tag. But the one that we need is at the very top already. Well, not very top, but right below is the GA4 configuration. Okay. So I'm going to go GA4 configuration. There we go. And now the only property it needs is the measurement ID. So what we should, this little tricky to go and find it, and it's very specific. So to find the measurement ID, I'm going to go back to my Google Analytics. So I have it open in this tab here. I'm going to go to the admin area of Google Analytics. So that was just bottom left cogwheel. I'm going to go back to data streams. And I'm going to open up my data stream. From the data stream, the measurement ID is the one that always starts with a G. So G dash and then this number here. So not to be confused with the stream ID or any other numbers. You'll note that the property has one number, the stream has a different number. We need this measurement ID. It's the most important one. Then, once I have that number copied, I'll go back to Tag Manager and I can paste in my measurement ID. Perfect. With that measurement ID inserted, one more thing I need to do is set up a trigger for this. So I'll just click anywhere on the trigger here, and it will pop up my available triggers. Triggers are anything that can trigger this, including if I click on a link or submit a form. Right now, it just has my basic ones. And what I want this on is initialization all pages. So again, here, if I just remove that and click again, within these, there's the all pages and initialize all pages. So I want it to be immediately when it initializes, I want it to be configured. And finally, before I save, I can just name this. I'll just call it GA4 config. Just something to make it easily recognizable. With that set, I'm going to hit save. And there we go. My GA4 is configured. I can continue adding more tags in here, but that's just the basic one we need at this time. So in order to actually publish this, I have to go to the right here and hit submit. So you'll see I have one change in my workspace that hasn't been submitted yet. So I'll just hit submit. And this is just if you're in a team of people or you have to really track your work, you can describe what is it that you change, what were the things that you've done. I'm just going to call this initial submit for the version name. Submit. There we go. I don't really need a subscription, and plus this is just me. I don't need to look at my old notes, but if you're working as a team, they'll probably tell you what you need to do for these, for how they run their company. But I'm just going to hit publish, and that's it. Now it is published, and Google Tag is connected. Perfect. And that's it. So we have our analytics created and connected to our site, and we've created our tag manager, and it has its one configuration tag thus far. Later on, this is where we would add in more event tags for tracking form submissions, pop-ups, and so on. So the question was just how to verify that the tags are working. So for the analytics one, and I'll also review the tag manager one, but for the analytics one, it is just checking that real-time data to see if it is tracking. But there is also a Chrome extension, and this can be actually pretty important to have if you want to test these things. So Let's see. It's called Tag Assist. Oh, it's Legacy. Let me get to the Chrome Web Store again. Chrome Web Store. Okay, yeah. So if you literally Google Chrome Web Store and then go to the Google Chrome Web Store, if you're on internet Microsoft Edge, it also uses the Chrome Web Store because Microsoft gave up competing with Google and just made their browser Google. And what I'm searching for is, and I have it installed already, it's just called Tag Assistant. So I'm going to go Tag Assistant. And it's actually this one here. I know it says Legacy, but it still works. And pretty much every developer still loves using this one over the others. It's even featured. Like, if they don't want us using it, why is it featured? So I would just go in there and you'll see the option to add it to Chrome. And then once that's added, let me go back to my website here. You'll see this nice little happy face here with a little tag on it is my extensions, or it might be in your extension library here where you just have to pin it. But what this will show me, so I just open it up here. In the Google Tag Assist Legacy, I'm just going to hit enable. And now it will start tracking for a tag when I refresh this page. So I'm just going to refresh this page now with the refresh button or Command R. And then when I click here, it'll actually show me all the connected tags on my website. It's telling me multiple because I installed the manual one and the plugin ones, but yours should only show one of each. So what I see here is there is my Google Tag Manager tag. Actually, I have 3 because this was from a template, but you should see your Google Tag Manager tag with the G, and that is, go back, that is your measurement ID. I also have some UA properties on this one, but you shouldn't see those unless you did connect them. And then you should see one of your Google Tag Manager ones, and that's the best way to confirm that your Tag Manager has connected. So, all right. So give that a test. Perfect. And Laura, so for how the demographics will start to show up. So demographics, they do take a while, quite a while actually, to show up, and they may not at all unless you hit a certain threshold. That threshold is completely dynamic to Google. So it could be Google waits till you have 250 or 1,000 visitors that all have enough demographic data before it will start showing to you. So unfortunately, that is a little bit trickier. Let me just, where demographic data would be though is under reports and demographic. And then I can go overview. Oh, sorry, to be more specific, gender and age are the ones that Google holds and will not give to you for quite some time until you have enough data on your site. So to just show an example one that has demographic data, I'll just go to, I'll pull up this one here. This should have a lot of demographic data. So here's an example of a site that has a lot of it, and we can see all the countries that they're in. We can see the breakdown of male to female demographic here. Their interests, these people are interested in food a lot, or technology and mobile enthusiasts, as well as the age breakdowns here. And even languages. So language, interest, and country, as well as their cities and townships, should show under demographic after a while. Gender and age may not for a smaller site. Oh, excuse me. And yes, so Laura, it will start tracking for you. You may not see it for at least the first 24 hours, as in nothing shows up in these views. That's why you have to use real time while you're still just testing or if you've just installed it. And even in real time, it'll show you some of that data, but not all of it. Perfect. But yeah, that actually goes for everything. A lot of Google Analytics Explorer stuff doesn't show up till the next day. So just for a test website, I'll go over what each of these are and what some of their things mean. So, let's hate that menu. But I'm in reports and under acquisitions, and I'm just going to go to overview. So acquisitions is just the general user audience themselves. So how many users have come to my website, how many of them are new, or this is their first time ever visiting the website. Then we have other data such as their where they were acquired from. So this is usually the most important stuff. So I'm actually going to click on view user acquisition here. And this will actually take me to the other menu just below overview for user acquisition. And what this tells me is the breakdown of whether they came from social media, so Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and so on. And I can see here I have, there's my organic social. If they came from a referral, which means they clicked on a link from another website. So if Emily linked to me from her website and someone clicked that link, that would be a referral. Direct is kind of a blanket one for when Google just doesn't know. They could have typed in the URL directly. It could have come from an email, or there's some kind of a blocker that is blocking them from being tracked. Thus, it just goes into direct. Organic search is your Bing or Google search itself. Paid other, this would be Google, or actually it's technically paid search is Google ads. Paid other is my LinkedIn ads or my Instagram ads, those kind of things. Okay. Display is another type of ad. These are the image-based ads that you can run through Google Ads. And then email, where if they clicked on one of our email campaigns. And then, so that was user acquisition. Traffic acquisition is kind of the same thing. Yeah, that's just if we get into channel grouping, which I'll go to later. Engagement. This is whether or not the users engaged in one of those events that we were seeing prior. So scrolling a page, clicking on an outbound link, playing a video, those are all types of engagement. So when I click on engagement overview, it gives me the average time someone spends on my site is about 39 seconds. And then average engagement time per session, 28 seconds. So whenever someone comes to a site, that starts their session. A session can last up to 30 days, for instance. So it gives you the average the average time that they are engaged for upwards of 30 days on your site. And then gives me some other options, but here are some of those events I was just talking about. So how many users scrolled on my website, viewed a page, and then I have custom events here. So ones where they were invited to an event on my website. Or here's how many forms were submitted on my website here. Even breakdowns of what pages they were visiting, and so on. So you can go through more of that data. So you can see on the left, I can drill down the events themselves. So I can see even more data with that, see which ones actually resulted in revenue. None of those ones. When I set up conversions, now your sites won't have conversions at first, but once conversions get set up, for instance, like my form submissions or purchases on my website, that is the very key one that I want to tell a developer, hey, I need you to make sure that this event, when someone does it on my site, is tracked as a full conversion, because that's what we're basing all of our ads on. That's where we're basing our revenue on, is these conversions. Pages and screens, this of just what is the most viewed pages on the website. And landing pages is just what page did someone immediately come to when they first started their session. So if they search Google, they may go to your homepage, but they may have also clicked one of the links that takes them to your about page. And then that's how you might see your about page on here if they landed there first.
Okay.
Perfect.